Some breaking news you might see there on the bottom of your screen. This is in relation to the Tamil family, still in detention on Christmas Island, awaiting deportation, but the federal court has today ruled in relation to this family, who so far have been unsuccessful in their refugee claims in Australia, that there needs to be a full and final hearing of their case, all around the youngest daughter here in particular. And it would seem, Tom, whether or not this has been properly considered by the department, her case, and indeed whether there are international obligations that would be infringed if Australia removed her along with her family.
So the findings so far, so it's all around Tharunika, the 2-year-old. Even though the case is just about her, obviously it would impact the rest of the family. And the court finding today that she'd made a valid application. Now, it's not saying, therefore, it's going to a valid application for a visa. It doesn't mean that will be granted or it has to be. It means that needs to be heard out in court. So like a lot of these things, getting to this point is a certain test. If you can't get to court, obviously that was the concern, it wouldn't even be heard in court. They've passed the hurdle of saying there's a prima facie case. Yeah. Therefore, you know, the judge is saying, hey, we can see how this might stand up, not that it will. So without delving into legalities... Well,
I think we do. Look, the bottom line is they're allowed to stay indefinitely until we have this full hearing. It's unclear when that will be, but it's expected to be a number of months before that happens. So they're going to stay. We're yet to hear whether they'll stay on Christmas Island, where they remain in detention there, and not many in detention. They may be the only people. I
think they were the only ones there.
Anyway, they'll most likely, I would think, remain there unless the department decides to bring them back to Australia, to the mainland. In the meantime, we do have some of the family's lawyer here, I think, speaking outside court just after this decision.
The result of the interlocutory hearing today has been granted in favour of the applicant, which is good news. So that doesn't mean everything's over. So what will happen from now is a case management hearing will be allocated. What that does is then work out dates for further documents to be produced and a further hearing down the track. So it's not all over, but today is a good result. It does mean that the injunction stays in place until such time as either the matter is resolved or the result of the final hearing. So I'm happy to take questions. That might be easier. The judge has given a great summary, which I'm sure can be spread around. It is for the purpose of sharing it with the public so the public understand the process. So I'm happy to take questions.
Rena, how are you feeling for this?
I think I'd say relieved. Yes, yeah. It's always difficult when you work on a case that such as this, and to be honest, most immigration lawyers will not ever work on such a high-profile case. But it is relief, yes.
Where to from here in terms of what the judge has said? Is all of your arguments that you've made valid? So walk us through a little bit of what he's had to say.
So it's on the basis of the Section 198, which is the removal power, can't, start to be enlivened until such time as a proper international obligations assessment has been undertaken. So it was started, but his view is it wasn't properly finished, really, so on a procedural fairness issue. So that process will be something that obviously the Minister may consider starting again. You know, it's up to them in terms of how that's run.
Are you going to consider making an application of some sort to try and get them off Christmas Island now?
It's not necessarily an application, but given we don't know how long it is, after I've talked to my clients, that will be one of the issues I will bring up. Again, though, that is up to the Minister and the Department of Home Affairs as to whether they should be transferred.
And how long will this process take going forward?
It can take months, yes. I mean, so, yeah, it could be a while yet.
It could take months, as indicated, so they'll remain in detention until then. But a relief, good news, according to the family lawyer.
A hurdle cleared, essentially. We'll hear there, perhaps, I think you're speaking to Peter Dutton this afternoon, so perhaps what next step the government might take in relation to this, the implication from the lawyer there that the ball might be somewhat in the government's court, so we'll see.